And we're live. Here we are. Hi,
Hey, Amir.
everybody. How's it going? We'll give folks a couple minutes to join, but obviously our content is going to be around for everybody to watch afterwards too. Paula, thank you so much for joining us. For anybody that didn't watch our last video with Paula, Paula is an amazing, amazing person. She's a wealth of information when it comes to financial stuff, and she'll get you up and running. Paula, tell us a little bit about yourself again for anybody that didn't
Sure.
watch the last video.
Sure. Thanks, Amir. And thanks again for having me. So fun to be on your lives. So I've been in the business as a financial advisor now for over 16 years. I know you're shocked how young I look.
Wow.
I know, right? I sort of went out on my own to really focus more on the financial literacy side of it because I really feel like we miss that all over our culture, right? We're really like,
Yes.
I don't know how to do money. So, I find that really hopefully helps clients. And I love what I do,
Yes.
teaching about money.
And what I really like about Paula, and I'll tell you about this, is that, and I reviewed our last video too. You're so genuine, and you come across like such a genuine human, which is awesome, and we love people like that. And I'm sure your clients tell you this as well. You do this because you care, which is
Right.
good. And
Thank
if
you.
you do anything from a place of from a place of caring, not only do you have a successful business because people flock to you, you make other people's lives better too, and that
No.
helps you sleep at night, right?
Yeah, we're done the live now. That's all we need to say, right? That's
That's
amazing.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very
That's a
cool.
huge compliment.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a thank you for being on here with us. This is great. So today we're gonna talk about some really cool things. We're gonna help out some first time home buyers. And
Mhm.
I remember when I was thinking about buying a house, and I was in my 20s,
Mm,
and I thought to myself that it was just such a far fetched thing because I don't have any money laying around, and
right.
homes back then in our neck of the woods for a decent house, like detached, was about
Yeah.
$230,000.
Yeah.
Not bad, right?
I know.
Now
But at
that
the
same house,
time, right?
yeah,
Did it
that's
seem expensive at the time to you though? You were like, I don't know how we're gonna make this happen.
exactly.
Mhm.
And wages haven't increased a ton since then, but like a fair bit. But that seemed like a mountain to me at the time, right?
Mhm.
And it was a crazy turn of events. I ended up getting the money together because I was like, I got to do this. I got to get out of my parents' house, and I put away money. I did everything I had to. I went and even started tinkering around. I would put together like a repair like cell phones, and I did anything I could. I
Really?
paint
So you're really
fences. I
motivated. Mhm.
delivered pizza. I did all sorts of stuff to
Good
like
for you.
yeah.
So can I ask, because I think this is totally related to our first time home buyers that will hopefully watch this, is like, why were you so motivated to buy property? I mean,
So I wanted to get out of my parents' house.
right. Great motivator. Yeah.
No, if my mom's watching this, no offense. I love her cooking. She's great. My dad's great. They're all great people. It's just that you need your own
Absolutely.
space.
Yes.
At one point in time, especially when you get into your 20s, and maybe your early 30s even, and you
Yep. No
just like
judgment here.
I
Yeah.
want to get out. And I ended up getting a house, and I scrounged to get it. I had a decent job too, but I didn't have any savings. My job, like I was making about $100,000 a year, but no savings.
So you
Um,
still had to really hustle to get there.
yes, because I want to do it in a short period of time, and I
Okay.
want to grab that particular house.
Mhm.
It was a new build. So I put my name down on it, and I was making the payments because they ask you for a certain amount of time, a
Right.
certain
Yes.
amount of money every so often. So I was doing everything I could to get that down payment ready. And I'm like, I came up with this money so quickly, and I put it there, and I'm not missing it now, but
Mm,
because it's in my house. And if I had that money in my pocket, I'd be burning it.
totally.
So
Yeah. It
yeah,
needs a purpose, I find, with money, right?
exactly. So I
Mhm.
sort of wanted to take this video and pick your brain on this. And
Okay.
what would you advise to folks that are getting into the market now? Because now we're getting into a spot where it was sort of it was sort of a dream about 6 months ago
Mhm.
where the prices were going up and up and up and up. where now some of these first-time home buyers that we had from before, from previous years, are starting to reemerge again. But also, there's some new home buyers. There's people from outside of the country. There's all sorts of people that are coming in that are going to be first-time home buyers. And I wanted to kind of pick your brain on the person in their 20s that want to get out of their parents' house. What would you say? How would you kind of help them out to get financially correct so they can start?
I mean, I think, Amir, your story about how you got into the market is such a great one to start out with, because that's what I would say to people, because as I said, our money, it really needs a purpose. And as you said, like, I made good money, but you can also spend good money too, right? If it doesn't have a particular direction that you need it to go.
Especially in your 20s.
Exactly. You have lots of places you can spend your money in your 20s, especially, right?
Cars.
Before we all had kids, right? Yeah. So I would say that, I mean, if you're really like, hey, I'd really like to get into the market, whatever that looks like, you know, really have a plan for that. So I know even some clients now who are like, hey, bestie, do you want to buy a property together? We can be roommates. We can get into the market. Amazing. So then you reverse engineer what you need to have, right? So if it's, you know, we need a down payment of 5% of the purchase price, what does that need to look like? And then break it down by month, right? How much do I need to save from every paycheck, every 2 weeks, to put that aside? And for how long will that take? Okay, so you can be really strategic about it. But I often find, Amir, and I don't know if you see this too in your first-time home buyers, that people want to get here, but they're just not sure where to start, right? So that's wonderful. Oh, reverse engineer that. That's great. But what if you have debt? You know, what if you're like, I cannot save money? So I always tell people, like, the first sort of line of defense with your money is have $1,000 cash cushion. Because life has a way of, like,
I'm just gonna put this slide up that we have here.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Oh, amazing. Yes. You guys are so fancy. So yeah, the $1,000 cash cushion is sort of like the first thing you do. Okay. Especially if you're like, I don't know where to start. So set aside 10 to 15% of every time you get paid. Okay. And why I chose, and you'll hear this around, this is not something that I originated, although I'd love to take credit for it. The $1,000 is a great amount of money that, no, it won't take you out of, you know, a catastrophic bind, and I hope none of you have to experience that, but it will sort of allow you to keep going towards your goals, right? So if you have a car thing that happens, or just something like a big wedding or something that happens that requires a lot of money, pull from your cash cushion rather than going back into debt.
Right. So 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, the debt thing is usually where people get stumped, where they're like, I just don't see an end to this, you know, how am I going to get out of this? And I think another slide that I have is the snowball, the debt snowball, and how to get out of that. Thank you. So this is a really text heavy slide. So, you know, yeah. So pause us if you need to here.
Yes.
But you will, like, go on Google, like, how to tackle debt with the snowball method. You'll also see the avalanche method. I'm a fan of the snowball because I think psychologically it gets you this quick momentum and these quick wins that you need, right? So pay the minimum on all of your debts, except for the one with the smallest balance. Okay, try to pay that one off as quickly as possible, because then you'd be like, oh, hey, I can do this. Yes. And then you keep going down the line, right? So you sort of snowball your debt until it's gone. Because you really want to make sure, especially if you're going into the housing market, right, which I'm sure you've seen, your debt is going to be scrutinized. So you want to make sure you put yourself in the best position you can to get into the housing market.
Yes. Very good. And I see that happen quite a bit, where a lot of people come in and they don't want to give up their previous way of life, where it's just like, oh, dinner out every night, and I drive a BMW and I need to have another one next year.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, sorry, I get excited and I cut people off. So please don't take it personally.
Go for it. No, not at all. Go for it.
The biggest thing is, like, you know, I think what we need to do also with that is our whole culture is we're set up to be consumers, right? Amazon is so popular for a reason. Yes. We love instant gratification, and we're taught to keep doing it, right? Like,
and there's sorry to interrupt there. And there's another aspect of this. They don't have like a financial awareness class in school. So not
No.
only do you not know, you're set up for failure on this end
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. We're like, spend all the money, but also keep your spending a secret because you're doing it wrong. Right. So,
Yes.
why I'm saying all of that is to say, like, take the shame and the guilt out of that. So what? So you live a lifestyle that's really amazing. That's what all of us aspire to do. However, if you want to get into the housing market, which I'm sure Amir would also be 100% on board with me, you want to do that because you can then parlay that into building your net worth long term, right? So it might require, a lifestyle change initially to get where you want to go, right? But if you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, you can see how long this will take. Hopefully you can be like, okay, I can do this for a year, or I can do this for 2 years, especially if I have other people on board, which is also a key too, right? You want to have people around you that are going to encourage you as well.
And when you don't,
Mm,
what do you do? Because it takes a lot of things, like say being self-employed or wanting to lose weight or be really in shape. It takes
totally.
a lot of support. It takes a lot of motivation, where it's hard to have a lot of motivation for an extended period of time where you're not getting that gratification every once in a while, because you're like, okay, I'm putting the money away. I got 30 grand now. I could go buy that new car, or I could go
Right.
and do something else. I could go to Bora Bora,
Oh, right.
So that's fun now
Yeah.
versus fun later. So I think that's another aspect of it too, where I think
Mm,
you would be great, a great source of information and support for someone
mhm.
that say is looking to have this goal and is wanting to do this. And I'm sure you have that conversation with them.
I
um,
do, yeah,
right.
and I mean, that's why money coaching is a whole thing, right? That's
Yes.
why I actually do a program just to coach people, through that, because really, I really think majority of this sort of strategy is the mental sort of self-awareness that you have to get it done, right? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you will find, I think, especially when you're trying to make change in your life, whatever that change is, right? Diet, money, whatever it is, you're gonna have people who resist you changing. I'm sure you've experienced that yourself too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's okay. They might just not be ready for change. And I'm not saying go and cut people out of your life, but just be aware of that. Like, hey, they may not be on board. Maybe they need more time. But make sure you are surrounding yourself with motivators, okay? Or people that do support you as much as possible, right? So,
100%.
and
Yeah.
even if that looks like, you know what, you're watching YouTube videos about, saving money and, getting to the next level and
I'm gonna
saving
age
for,
myself here.
yeah.
I used to watch this show called "Till Death Do Us Part." I used
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think I don't know if YouTube was around then.
Right. I know, right?
It was probably. I just never watched it, but I used to watch it. I used to sit on my parents' couch, and I was like, "Oh my god, I need to start saving money." And I'm not gonna have any money when I grow up. I need to start buying a
Yeah.
house, and I sort of took a lot of the advice from there. So I didn't have somebody. I didn't know where to go. I was in my 20s. I'm like, I didn't know there was somebody that gives you advice. So I sort
Mhm.
of had to do it on my own, and
Yeah.
I was motivated. And when I put my mind to something, I got to do it.
Right.
And I think a lot of folks out there, a lot of the younger people out there are like that right now. What would you say? Would you give them any other advice in terms of how to accelerate this if they want to say accelerate to grab that, get that down payment? Is there anything else
Mm.
you would suggest? Anything else come to mind?
I would say, your story was so good. I mean, I'm guessing that was a plant, but hey, I appreciate it. Um, do be as like single focused as you possibly can then. Like really go hard on it. So if it is like you're selling clothes that you don't need on Poshmark and you are selling extra stuff or you have a side hustle, like that's just totally a normal thing now. That's not something that I guess probably when you were in your 20s, not that I'm saying you're old, it might not have been a thing. Right now, it's very normal for people to have side hustles and to make money on the side. So, what can you do to do that? Right? Are there things? Can you go to garage sales and flip things on eBay? Like Gary
100%.
Vee is a great motivator for that. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
Gary's the best.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, I love him, and I mean that's how he sort of got into business, and he's such a strategic mind. But he's a great person to watch if you're like, okay, what can I do to get there as
Yeah.
quickly as possible?
Drive an Uber.
Yeah,
Selling stuff again.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm. Can you
Sort of.
deliver skip the dishes? Can you, like, what's it
Yeah.
called? When you go and grocery shop for people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And so I think that that definitely helps a lot of people that are trying to get into the market to get into that next step. Did I miss anything else there? Did you want to
I
add
don't
anything
think
else
so.
before
I
we
think
move on?
my only other slide that I like to show people is like
Sure.
if you're saving at 25 versus 35 and what difference. Oh, this is my have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Perfect, Ali. So this might be teeny tiny and you might have to sort of blow it up on your
Let me see.
laptop or your tablet, but this is the difference that starting saving at 25 versus 35 makes, and a 10-year
Okay.
difference. My gosh, don't we all wish we could go back to 25 and save our money?
Yeah,
Um,
wouldn't that be nice?
I know, right? I
But
know. We
here's the
would be
thing.
so smart.
You don't think about it when you put it
You really
in
don't.
something like real estate, then you don't have to think about it. It's automatically getting
Right.
deposited into your bank account. And I
Yes.
remember having that set up also before, where I would time it with my paycheck. And I think TD had this thing, or it was, I think it was TD or Bank of Montreal, one of them. And on the day that my paycheck came out, they would take out something like $600 or $700.
Hmm.
And so I could get used to having that amount come out of my bank account every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So when I got a house, I'd be ready. And
Yes.
that helped me a lot. And back then they were paying, a little bit of money on it too, which is cool.
Right. Yeah.
So
They used to have interest then, right?
yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But it's I would put that money away and I would just not think about it. And then eventually, when I got my house, I was like, I don't have this money. It's not in my bank account, but it's in my equity in my house.
Yes.
So, and you don't think about it; it's just
No.
automatically happening.
Oh, I love that. Yes, automatic payments or automatic savings is like a lifesaver, right? I would
Yeah,
not leave it up to myself. And this is what I do as a financial advisor, right? So I would, and I do have all my investments and stuff come out automatically. So don't leave it up to chance. Just have it come out automatically. And then, as you said, like it's such a great habit that you're developing too. That you're just it's your normal.
100%.
Hmm.
So, next thing we're gonna get into is super important. I think, especially these days. But I think Canadians are a little bit more conscious of this than our friends in the US, where the importance of having savings, the importance
Hmm.
of not just having a cushion, but having some kind of savings for whatever it is, because eventually we all end up retiring, right? So we
Well,
don't
yeah,
live forever.
yeah.
Right?
In some
So
capacity,
we're
yeah,
gonna
for
yeah,
sure.
we're gonna get to a place in our life where we want to say, okay, well, I'm done working. I want to do other stuff. I want to
Yes.
travel. I want to do, hang out with my family.
Yeah.
And we're all working sort of towards that. But it feels like that the larger portion of the population is sort of working for today, and
Mhm.
that's it.
Yes.
So I sort of want to quickly touch on this with you and kind of chat about it in terms of savings. Um, what would you? How would you say it's important to save? For not just for a rainy day, but for when you
Yeah.
retire.
Yeah, and I mean, you really have to look at it. I tell this to people too, because I think our ideas of what our retirement will look like are so, so different from what we grew up with, right? We're not gonna all hit 65 and be like, "Okay, I'm out of here." I mean, I think a lot of us are already doing jobs that we love and can still see ourselves doing in some capacity, but what you're really ensuring for yourself is options.
Yes.
Right? That you have choice. You have the
Yes.
ability to do whatever that looks like, the travel, the whatever you want to do, or to take on a passion project that maybe you have to, fund with capital. That's what savings enables you to do, and that's what your investments enables you to do, right?
Because you work all through your life and you want to get to a place where you're like, I want to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And then, you either can or can't do it. And I think what the old mentality is of the stuffing your pillows with cash is,
Yeah.
is that. And also people are banking on the government having that, the pension plan, which is like
Yeah.
next to nothing. You can't live on that.
No,
And
no, no.
as my parents are
Especially, I
getting,
mean, who knows what it's going to look like when you and I go to retire and I'm assuming that we're the same age. You like how we did that?
sure, yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
like, I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think us as Canadians, especially, we're like, oh, we have CPP and we have old age. And I'm like, no, we don't.
What
That's
is
like,
that?
it's
It's
not.
nothing.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
It's not.
And
It's not going to enable you to live a life that you're thriving in. No, it'll be a
100%.
survival sort of situation.
100%. And as I see my parents getting older,
Hmm.
I'm noticing this more, and they're telling me how much they're going to be getting eventually when they do retire, which they will soon. It's not a whole lot of money, and
Mhm.
it maybe barely puts some groceries on somebody's table.
Yes.
So and ties in with the last thing we were talking about, having a house, and a lot of these folks are going to be sort of taking out of their equity to be able to retire,
Right.
right? So what would you recommend for
Mm.
people that, whether they say they've bought their house now, right?
Okay.
They've got their house, they're ready to go. They're like, okay, we got our house, we're making our payments, we're making our utility payments, everything is good, but we're sort of still living paycheck to paycheck. What would you suggest?
Mm. So I think if that's the case where they've come to retirement without a sort of clear, like, we did all the saving over here.
They're not there yet. Sorry, let me clarify. They're not retirement age yet. They're sort of, they're in their maybe 30s or 40s,
Okay.
and they're sort of living paycheck to paycheck,
Right.
and they have a house,
Yeah.
and they're thinking now, hey, maybe we should have some kind of savings for the future.
Okay. So I'd really say, like, this is a great time for you to sit down with someone. And I know, like, keep in mind, most financial advisors will not charge you an upfront fee for them to just sit down and audit your whole financial plan. Okay.
That's
Because
free.
pardon?
That's free. Someone will do that for
Exactly.
you for free. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll give you projections of, like, okay, so you said you want this amount of money in your retirement. This is how much you would have to save to get there, right? So it gives you a
Mm.
really clear idea and plan for how you can do it. Because I think that's a lot of people come to me and say, like, I just need a plan because I'm so overwhelmed with what retirement would look like. So, give yourself that gift because, find someone that you really like working with and that you trust and that you feel like they're just going to give me the straight goods and tell me exactly how to put a plan in place.
Call Paula.
Yeah, yeah.
No problem.
It was a shameless plug, really. Yeah.
What I find is that people have good intentions and they want to do this stuff,
Totally. Yeah.
but stuff gets in the way. Your kids are there and your family's there, and then you have Christmas, and then you're
Yeah.
spending. And especially in the US, they'll just whip out their credit cards and just swipe it. And
Yeah.
not only do they end up, not saving any money, or they'll have their savings still, which doesn't really matter because they're spending way
Yeah.
more than what their savings are worth, and that saving just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
Right.
um
Especially in comparison to inflation, right? We have to keep time with that. I know it's overwhelming to think about, but I think, especially with the holidays,
yes.
keep a very, I know it's hard, but keep a very defined, like, this is the amount that we want to spend. This is my
Yes.
list of people that we actually want to buy for. Because I think that's where we get, really caught up in it. And we're just like, let's charge, like, have a conversation with people. Are we buying for everyone? Are we just buying for the kids this year? Right. Because, like, you really want to avoid that January hangover,
Yes.
because that feels
Especially now, I think.
especially
Especially
now,
now,
especially now, right?
since your
Everything's
mortgage
more
has gone up
expensive.
$500,
Right.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. So don't be afraid to have those conversations with people. Just be like, hey, we're
Mm.
keeping it really low key and we're just gonna just be us, or we're just gonna buy for kids, right? I like to think that us as sort of a culture has sort of been like, yeah, let's forget all of the extra fluff sort of associated with the holidays, but I
Yes.
could be wrong. I don't know.
What's been your experience looking into other people's financial stuff? And I don't want any specifics or names.
Right.
Just just looking into. Of course, you're not going to share that. But
Yeah.
we're looking into some other people's financial life.
Hmm.
Do you find? What do you find? What percentage do you find, if you can put it in a percentage? It doesn't have to be exact, just sort of broad, on like stuff that they don't really need that they're buying.
Mm. You know what? I don't see that actually.
Oh, okay.
I'm more surprised at. I think the biggest thing that we're missing is not so much that we don't have the money, we just aren't sure how to allocate it,
Hmm.
And I think, when I hear people say, like, oh, the latte factor, and I'm like, that sounds nice, but I don't think the answer is to strip all the things that we enjoy out of our lives to get where we want to go. Sure, maybe a temporary lifestyle change, but I think that's important, right? We work hard. We should have some things that we enjoy in our lives. But the biggest thing that I see people sort of struggle with is just not knowing, is just feeling like just don't know where to go next, and need that little bit of sort of like guidance of like, hey, if you put some money over here, you're going to get to retirement, or you're going to get to RESPs for your kids, or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's get into other savings. So
Okay.
other than real estate. So
Right.
let's say
That's yours.
we let's say we have some money. It is inflation time. We're going into we're already in a recession, I guess, in some ways. We're
Yeah.
going into a bigger recession. Let's say all that stuff's happening. It's going to happen. What would you say would be a great product for people to put their money in, to not only shield them from all the stuff that's happening, but also help them grow their money within this time while they can? Because usually when something like this happens, it's time for some people to make money and some people to lose money.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And I'm sure you see it in your profession too. But what I initially see is fear.
Yes.
You know, everybody freaks out and is like,
you don't know.
The markets have gone down. And I'm like, hold up. This is an amazing opportunity for all of us. Okay. Especially if you're not going to retire tomorrow, right? You have time on your side. So really, you have to look at it like you just went into your favorite store and you're like, oh my gosh, everything's on sale.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have to look like at investing like this right now. So the market has gone down. You could look at that like, oh my God, you know, we're in a recession, or you could be like, wow, I could really take advantage of this. So if you're the type of person that's like, hey, I'm contributing to my RSP or TFSA regularly, keep doing that. Don't stop. Or if you have lump sums that you can put in, this is a great time to be bumping that up, because the market will recover. Okay. We know that it will go back up. So when it does, you're going to be the person saying like, my money just doubled, or my money just went way up. So unfortunately, there isn't like a magic bullet product to be like, put all your money here. But really stay the course. Like, you really have an amazing opportunity here. You really have to look at it like that, and look at it like, I just got an amazing discount on my shares in my investments.
And that's great. It's a great way to look at it. And I just noticed something the other day, and I up until a couple months ago, savings account was sort of a joke. Like,
totally.
Why do you even have a savings account? You know, if your money's in cash, if your money's sitting in the bank, it's basically just losing value.
Totally. Yeah.
But now I notice the banks are giving money onto the savings account. And I'm like, what's this $50?
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, that's such a good point, Amir. Yeah. They're starting to say like, oh, so we're getting in on this. We're going to give you some interest on your savings account too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some opportunities like that too. So if you are like Amir's ideal client who are trying to get into the housing market, you could do a pretty decent savings account right now and actually get 2%. I've seen 2%, which is for what we've seen historically, amazing.
And what about something like a GIC? You thinking of buying in like 3 months or 6 months or something like that? Do you think that's a good idea too?
Usually, to get a decent sort of rate of return on it, you need to be committing and locking in that money for at least a year. So you have to weigh, can I lock that in for a year, or will I need that money before then? I don't love GICs because of that, because you are locking your money in for a certain period of time. But there are situations where I'm like, absolutely, let's get you that 5% you're going to get. Just know that your money now is locked in there for that period of time.
Okay. So then, if you had to pick like one decent thing that you would say, hey, this is a good idea to put money into right now, if you can, give me something where I could say, or you would put your money in that and you see some, not substantial, like insane growth. I don't want it to double, but at least it's sort of keeping up with inflation.
I mean, yeah, GICs, you are going to see that right now, but that's, again, a short-term sort of play.
Okay.
I know it's such a financial advisor answer. I'm so sorry, but I have to say, like, it really is situational, right? So your situation is going to look different than mine. As a first-time home buyers is going to look very different. So, but to keep it on the theme of a first-time home buyer, GICs might be a great thing to lock in right now. But again, ideally, if you have a sort of a chunk of money that you can put in to get that rate of return on it.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Awesome. So we're running out of time slowly, and I want to pick your brain on a whole bunch of other stuff. But I want to just quickly touch on the stuff that's happening out there. Do you have any predictions from what you see, where you see us going in the next year or so?
Well, you know what we're seeing? I just checked some people's accounts before I hopped on with you, and it's starting to go back up. So we're starting to see a jump back in the market. So stay the course. Like, honestly, there's so many amazing opportunities in there. And no economist nor financial advisor is going to be like, this date, you're going to be able to time the market. Nobody in the history of the market has done that. But again, just like real estate, it's better to be in the market than not at all. Right?
100%. Very good advice. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paula. I really appreciate you being on here with us again, spending some time with us. We're gonna bug you again as this stuff keeps changing. But next Wednesday, next Wednesday we got another hike. So hopefully that doesn't go up too high, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah,
crossing our fingers.
And then we'll check back in again with you and see where we can help some folks kind of stay financially wise.
I'd love that. Thank you so much for having me, Amir. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Paula. Talk to you soon.
Bye. You take care. Bye. Bye.